Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Hey, what is up everybody? This is Dan from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I am joined by Scott and Lucas, and we are here to predict Crown Jewel 2021.
Exciting times.
First Crown Jewel since 2019 as well.
Boy, have we missed it.
Yeah, a lot's changed since then, boys. Yeah. So obviously, as you guys can see, Rob is not with us today. He is probably still sulking at getting knocked off the top of the predictions table from Extreme Rules. Quick look at the table, we'll see that it is super close all around. So me on 24, Rob on 23, Scott and Lucas both on 22. It is all still to play for. Scott, obviously, the current reigning and defending champion.
I thought you were going to be harsh and say current bottom. I was going to say thanks, mate.
No, the current reigning defending champion. But yeah, we'll see, obviously, how things go after Crown Jewel.
Also, we might not have Rob, but we do have Luigi. I'm liking your top there, Lucas. I feel like I should be trying to shake Luigi's hand, or I should be Mario.
Yeah, you actually got it perfect that one.
Yeah. Anyway. So as we said, we are here to predict Crown Jewel, and we are going to kick things off with our predictions for the Raw Tag Team Championship match. RK Bro defending the Raw Tag Team titles against AJ Styles and Omos. So let's go back to the dice. Obviously, no pop-up pirate things this time. So we're going to see who we have. It is number 4, which is Lucas.
Usually Lucas, I guess, yeah.
No, Rob.
Was it Rob?
Rob's normally number 4.
It is Rob.
So Rob's prediction, obviously Rob's not here, but he has sent us in his prediction, so we'll still go in order. Rob has predicted RK Bro to win this match.
Okay.
So it comes round to me, so that's good. Yeah, I think RK Bro, I don't think they're done as a team yet. There is obviously a slight bit of tension there, but yeah, I think they're going to have enough to overcome.
It always is with them too, though, aren't they? So...
Yeah, it's like, I think they are going to eventually do the whole thing where they get like the matching gear and all that stuff, and I don't think that's going to be just yet, but I think they'll keep the belts on them just a little while longer. So RK Bro for me.
Yeah. See, this is the one I was a bit worried about, but seeing there's 2 people gone already, I feel a bit more comfortable with saying RK Bro, just because I haven't seen much lately. I haven't managed to get much time to see any of the shows or even the highlights. The card itself looks amazing. Very excited about the show in general, but this one, yeah, felt a bit tough because I just don't know what direction they're going with AJ and then Omos. So, but seeing as you two have gone with RK Bro, I'd like to think they're not going to break them up anytime soon. I don't think there's much else to do with Randy at the moment, so it's probably a good time to just, again, keep it going for a little bit longer and make it mean a bit more when they do break up. So, yeah, I'm a RK Bro kind of mood as well. So,
yeah. I'm going to go the other way. I think AJ and Omos are going to win them back. And RK Bro will split up, and that'll be a feud leading into Survivor Series. And potentially into that day 1 Uso pay-per-view.
Rob's favourite pay-per-view.
The thing is, one tag team's end of the day, it's WWE, so one tag team splitting up after this pay-per-view, let's be real. As they've had more than one match. So Vince is already looking at breakup options. So I think RK Bro makes sense for them to split up. I think they only won the title just to get the pop at SummerSlam. Which obviously had been and gone. They retained them, but I don't know. Just get a feeling AJ and Omos winning back, so I'll just go the other way and say AJ and Omos to win.
I think you're right about the whole, like, someone's breaking up, though. Yeah.
Whichever team loses this match will no longer be a team afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it's WWE booking, and that's how they book.
Yeah, I mean, well, talking of teams that break up or that are breaking up, have broken up, it leads us into the next match, which, and that wasn't even planned, guys. Come on. So it is Mustafa Ali versus Lucas's boy, Mansoor.
This is the real main event.
Let's see. This is what Lucas thinks is going to main event. Let's have a look. And ironically, it is Lucas.
Hey! It's only right. It's only fitting that you go first.
He's going to go.
Now this is where it gets annoying. It gets very difficult though, because I want Mansoor to win, but I don't think he will. I kind of think he might not, because he's won at every single Saudi pay-per-view already, and this might be the one that he loses on, because this is the first time they've. Obviously, before he kind of just appeared, didn't he? Like every time. Kind of a Saudi pay-per-view happened, he just appeared out of nowhere. But this is the only time he's actually had like something built up from the main roster, on Raw, leading into obviously the Crown Jewel event. This team he's had with Ali for the past kind of few months. But is it a case of is it the payoff, or does it continue? It probably continues either way, I guess. But most likely obviously on Raw, not on a pay-per-view or whatever afterwards. I can't vote against Mansoor. Like, I think as much as WWE sometimes are being a bit dickish with people not winning in their hometowns as much as they used to, I think this might be the exception to that rule. So, Mansoor to win.
Yeah, well, Rob also said Mansoor, so then it comes round to me. And, I mean, it's strange, like, obviously you mentioned about people like, not winning in their hometowns, and I think that kind of screwed people over with the Extreme Rules on with Alexa Bliss, because obviously that being in their hometown and that. But I think with the Saudi ones, it's always weird because Mansoor always seems to win there, but it's like, how much do they actually know? Because apparently they asked WWE for CM Punk and Daniel Bryan to wrestle on this show, neither of who are with the company anymore. So they're probably just happy to see somebody from their neck of the woods anyway. So.
That's a very convenient rumor, though, that one, ain't it? I mean, I bought it when it was like over the top. They thought Yokozuna was still alive, but like, I don't know why I bought it when it was more over the top. But suddenly not saying they're not megastars, but like to suddenly want those two seems a bit of a strange time for that rumor to come out. But hey,
it's like they probably want like Rowdy Roddy Piper and Dusty Rhodes in the main event or something. But who knows? So I'm going to go with Mansoor, and then obviously both guys they got drafted actually as a tag team to SmackDown during the draft. So I was surprised to actually see them break up. I thought, they're going to actually give them a bit of a run. I'd like to have seen them facing off against like the Usos, for example. But there's still obviously the time. Maybe this could be like. Kind of like the Bar, how Sheamus and Cesaro initially were against each other. Maybe this is the kind of thing where, they're going to earn each other's respect and get back together as a team. Maybe, who knows? But Mansoor for me.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that quickly, I could kind of see a scenario where Mansoor wins and Mustafa Ali has to be humble and he invites him back in an embrace and they arms up in the air sort of thing in front of the fans. I could kind of see something like that, but. Like this hometown thing, like this does feel like the exception to the rule because he does always win there, it seems. So, and he's usually conveniently popped up in a prominent role just as that's going to happen. And he's been with the company for a while now, so this is a time where it's like it should feel a bit more natural. And he has been on, storylines on the main shows. So, it's tough because. Yeah, I really could see either way. It feels a bit too cliche to have him win every single time, as Lucas was kind of nearly going towards going against that. So, do I go? I think a lot of this is going to be tactical for me again because I haven't watched much lately and I'm not doing well on the points this time around. So, I think I'm going to have to tactically play it safe with this one and go Mansoor winning as well.
Fair enough. That's what we need to be doing at this stage.
But
and they always seem to put him in there against like really good people that make him look $1 million as well. Like you think the two singles matches he's had, I think Cesaro and Dolph Ziggler. Now, if you can't get a good match with them two, kind of what are you doing, sort of thing. But Yeah, so I think it's going to be a good match anyway. So let's move on next one to SmackDown and the Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defending against Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Interestingly, only one of these three women are going to be on SmackDown going forward after Crown Jewel, because obviously the draft kicks in the night after Crown Jewel on SmackDown. So let's see, are we all going to go that way, or are we going to go different?
Can I just ask? I haven't seen much of the draft. Yeah. Who is that one person?
That is Sasha Banks.
Okay,
so Becky and Bianca have both been drafted to Raw.
Right.
And also, Bianca Belair is due to face Charlotte Flair on Raw for the Raw Women's title. And Charlotte will be moving to SmackDown as well. So if that influences you in any way, then... well, there we go. We'll find out.
No. Wait, so Bianca's going to Raw?
Yeah, so this is a SmackDown Women's title match. As of basically the show, they're all still SmackDown superstars. As soon as Crown Jewel is finished, then the draft kicks in. Yeah. Becky and Bianca are both going to be Raw superstars. Sasha Banks is going to be a SmackDown superstar.
And Bianca's already going after Charlotte's title on Raw, who herself is moving over to SmackDown.
Yeah, so it could be a case of...
By the way, the confusion.
It could just be a case of, Becky, Charlotte swap belts.
Yeah, that's
one way.
How would they do it?
So, or Bianca and whoever swap the belt. We don't... This is the thing. This is where it gets a bit confusing. So
so I'm just going to go for who I think is likely to get the win on this show in front of this crowd. And I think for that, I think maybe Becky, because I think they're going to see her as like a big star and they want the big stars to do well over there. I kind of have a feeling of that. I don't think it will go, because it's been a bit all over the place anyway as far as babyface and heel. So so I think but then she's literally got to give up the title to move over, and this is a really tough one.
They did it at the last draft with like the Street Profits and the New Day.
Yeah, well, that was annoying. And I just
switched
them, which I could kind of put Becky going over there with the title maybe, and then.
But then Charlotte did touch on something where she was saying maybe about unifying the women's titles. So
did she? Okay.
It was like, it was kind of like a throwaway comment. She's like, oh, maybe I'll just like win that one, keep this one.
Oh, okay. So I guess you know that scenario of like Sasha winning it because she's staying. Then you got Becky winning it, which is a bit all over the place, and Bianca winning it, but she's about to go to Raw and challenge for that title anyway. That's a possible chance of unification there, and a chance of, like you say, a switch winning Charlotte off of Charlotte, but Charlotte goes over now without a title. So now, mate, it's really confusing. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go... This is a really tough one, so I'm just going to go Becky. Having not seen much lately and really being confused by what it means for the future, I'm going with Becky Lynch, because it feels a safer bet if I was just to say it was a one-off show. Like, if it was a house show, I'd say, Becky's probably going to win because I think they want the biggest star winning over there. Yeah.
I think you touched upon that there. Like, this is now like a proper pay-per-view now, isn't it? It's not. It's not like before where it was like a big kind of thing and it didn't really have storylines or whatever. You know, it is like actually in storyline, like a lot of all this stuff. And obviously, with it being the pay-per-view literally before Survivor Series, too. You know, this is a very complicated one. Obviously, Dan, you described obviously the scenarios that are happening. Obviously, what's happening. I feel that it will not be Bianca Belair winning. Like, I've ruled her out completely.
Okay.
As I feel that she might either win the Raw, Women's Championship of Charlotte, going into this potentially, or she will just not win that but just not win this either. I think that ship has sadly sailed on her, or like for now anyway. I think the brakes are on. Sasha makes sense. Like, Sasha's the one where you're thinking, even looking at it from like just on paper kind of thing, you're thinking, okay, well, Sasha's the only one that's going to on SmackDown after this, but surely Sasha should win. But I still don't think it's that simple. Because it all depends on what the feuds are going to be after this. And the problem with that is the next pay-per-view being Survivor Series, and we know already that they are still sticking to their whole champion versus champion thing, as they touch upon it. I guess Scott's not aware of this, but they touch upon it with the Drew and Big E stuff. and mentioning Roman Reigns and that. So they've touched upon the fact that the champions are still facing champions at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
As they have clarified that obviously if Drew beats Big E at vice versa, then that person will face Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So they are continuing that rubbish next month. Sorry.
I love my brand. I've only been on it for like a month.
1 month of the year, they all decide to care about what brand they're on.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is where, again, my long way basically of getting to. I think Becky Lynch will retain the championship. And I don't feel the draft actually matters in a weird way. Because obviously what will happen after this is that the champions will just be on both brands anyway. And I feel that obviously if Raw needs a rating, I think basically Becky going to Raw will only happen like basically after this month anyway. And it might even just be a rating ploy anyway, just because obviously, Raw needs ratings. Becky's a star. Like, it makes sense that if the next month both brands are able to have access to both Becky and Charlotte, and this was their way of doing it. So if Becky can still be the SmackDown Women's Champion, but still be on Raw because she'll have to for the storyline purpose of obviously potentially facing either Charlotte or Bianca Belair at Survivor Series. So her keeping the belt makes better sense at this point. So I would say Becky Lynch to time.
I guess she could be on. She's the kind of character that could be on Raw, going, "I'm over here taking over," kind of like how she did when she blew up in the first place. That whole
exactly,
and be like, "Look, I'm coming over to Raw because I'm about to represent SmackDown." Well, even though she's on Raw, I'm sure if there's any character you can build a weird storyline like that,
it makes best sense.
Like
and I think she can get away with it. And obviously, then you've got uniqueness of there's a period where potentially the SmackDown Women's Championship can be defended on Raw, which is another kind of their big promotion that they can get behind. Of now, Raw's got the SmackDown Women's Championship being defended on it, and then SmackDown have made the Raw Women's Championship being defended on it. So it's it's a unique thing. So, but I think obviously yes, it is just something maybe to get us through to Survivor Series, where they're going to create those big kind of matches again just to pop the ratings a few times, and then Survivor Series will happen, and then after that we should be back to kind of the proper rosters. But I think this is where they're going to just mess about a bit. So Becky Lynch for me. What did Rob say?
So Rob has also gone Becky Lynch. So obviously he's not got the hindsight of this this conversation.
Saying that, we should probably do Rob's ones first, really, so we all know what Rob said, because otherwise you're the only one down getting a second opinion before you get to say yours all the time.
Bad point. Yeah, just put Rob's first, isn't it?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's not a problem. But generally, his number comes up first anyway, as we know.
True.
The loaded dice. So, Sami Zayn, isn't it? So, so for me, so it's interesting because they normally say, normally WWE's rule is that if somebody gets the advantage going into the pay-per-view, then they're not going to win. Now, one of the last things that happened on SmackDown was Sasha Banks pinning Becky Lynch. So the first time Becky's lost in singles competition in 3 years.
Wow.
So, with that being said, is this basically their way of saying, you know what, we have full faith that Sasha's going to go on and do this? Or it's just so tricky because obviously, part of me wants to say Sasha because that is what makes the logical sense, because obviously Becky and Bianca both going over to Raw, but then is that too obvious because they're going on to Raw? So, do I go opposite? Do I go with the obvious though? Is the issue? Or do I stick? 'Cause the thing is, I think I'm pretty much like Lucas was saying. I think rule Bianca out completely. I don't think Bianca's coming out of it with a title. So do we have? The only other way is maybe if Bianca wins it and then she beats Charlotte or Charlotte then beats her on Raw in a title v title match, and then Charlotte will be like.
I can see that going well online.
Get them numbers up in it so she can get closer to that record of 17. But
a few frustrated people on Twitter.
Do I do it or do I not? Part of me wants to say Sasha, but then it's one of those like head says one thing, and then Hart says something else, and it's like, which one do you go with? Do I go Becky? Do I go Sasha? Becky, Sasha, Becky, Sasha. I think I'm in the same boat as you. Like, do I play safe and go Becky because everyone else has, or do I try and use logic? But then I've got to try and get inside Vince McMahon's head, which is
well, that's another story.
So it's going to be Carmella that's going to win this match, then probably. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm going to go Sasha.
Oh,
okay.
I think it's going to be boss time going into Survivor Series.
To be fair, she's another big star. Do you know what I mean? She's another big star, you know, on the brand. Obviously, she had a lot of kind of misfortune her way. Like, I think, you know, in this, you know, as much as I think in this there is like a thing where a lot of people have been shafted. Bianca definitely got shafted at SummerSlam, but what happened? And then Sasha, to be fair, got a thing with that too, because like she meant to be in the match and she wasn't even at the show anymore. Yeah. And then she kind of keeps taking time off, and it's just like, okay, is there something wrong, or like, you know, like what's going on? Like, how's their wrestler just keeps having all this time off all the time? You know, because even before this, I mean, if we're going back to 2019, did she do the same thing where she took from Mania to when she returned? I think she took about 4 or 5 months off, didn't she? Before returning to face Becky Lynch.
I think it's maybe hard to predict with her. Like, I think we might have touched on this last month actually. Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, you know, fair play. It's behind the scenes. That's fair enough. It might be something big that we don't know about, and you know, hopefully everything's all right there. But because of that, like, we can't hide from the fact that she has gone and come back quite often. These kind of returns have kind of become quite frequent, and because of that, it's like, is the match going to take place? You know what I mean? And I don't want to doubt things like that, but like, we have to be realistic with what's been going on lately. And again, if there's something serious behind it, then fair enough. You know, don't want to take away from anything important like that. But judging from like a predicting a wrestling show type thing, it does make things quite difficult.
Yeah, but maybe that's what they want. But yeah, it does seem a bit like if Sasha's got a 3-year contract or whatever it is, I think they need to double that, because she hasn't been part of the product for half the time. Half the time she's bending returning, you know. But yeah, look, it might be her time. I don't know, like, but she never seemed to win it on pay per view, does she? She always seemed to win it on just TV, didn't she? And then lose it on pay per view. Quite often. They're saying that her last run was quite lengthy, wasn't it? It was pretty much didn't she beat Bayley for it in Hell in a Cell, I want to say, and then she held it through straight through to Mania, didn't she? Until she lost to Bianca Belair. So, you know, her last run was semi-long, but yeah, everyone kind of got shafted in this, it seems. And obviously, if Charlotte's obviously now in the picks, you know, end of the day, whatever happens after this, like, Charlotte is in the title picture after Crown Jewel on SmackDown. So, you know, it's a case of who's really going to be facing Charlotte next, essentially.
Good point.
Yeah, it's going to be strange, isn't it? And I think whoever wins this is going to be probably going to have Shayna Baszler as their challenger over on SmackDown. So,
but that's another reason why I think Bianca will win the Raw Women's Championship, because that obviously totally rules her out as one of the people that can face Charlotte afterwards, and then they obviously got, because they haven't done on pay-per-view yet, they can go back to that late down the line, you know, well, for the next draft, to be fair, when they put Charlotte and Bianca on the same brand, because if they want her to be a big star, that'll be one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's very confusing, this match.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have as much confusion with the next match, which is the no-holds-barred match between Bobby Lashley and Goldberg. Obviously, we know that Goldberg has actually predicted that he is going to actually murder Bobby Lashley. So,
wow.
Hopefully they'll be the police will be in attendance to arrest Bill after the match. Yeah, so Rob has gone with Bobby Lashley for this one. So let's see who else is going to predict first. It is numero uno. That is myself. I don't think there's any reason whatsoever that Goldberg needs to win this match. I think no holds barred. I think it's going to be Hurt Business are going to get involved. Possibly an appearance from Gage Goldberg. So obviously Bill's son. It could be a case of that he maybe goes to spear Lashley. Lashley moves his son into the way, accidentally spears his kid. Something like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a Bobby Lashley victory in this one.
Well, okay, quite straightforward. I was kind of more thinking maybe it is time to let Goldberg win, because it doesn't mean anything as far as he won't get a title. People won't complain about it, but it will keep him looking strong. So probably doesn't affect Lashley that badly because they've just faced each other, right?
Yes,
for the title. So it's just the same thing again, but the title's out of the picture. So, and Goldberg lost that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go Goldberg. But the no holds barred thing, like you say, the Hurt Business being back together, that kind of does lean towards that. But maybe that's what happens. They come in no holds barred, and his son does come to even things. Super Goldberg 2.0. And takes them all out. Not to be confused with NXT 2.0. I can't believe they're still calling it that. But yeah, I think Goldberg. Yeah, I think Goldberg's going to win.
Yeah, I'm the Scott. I think Goldberg's winning. I think it's Saudi. Goldberg's popular there. It's not really going to harm Lashley too much if he loses to Goldberg. Lashley the villain. Yeah, Goldberg's not won a match for quite some time now. I think he's one of those where the more losses he eats, the worse it is for him. Yeah. Particularly, obviously, as he comes into this contract. Really, ideally, we should be building up to him having his final match, or someone being put over him, being a big deal. But how's that a big deal if everyone else has beaten him already? So I think, this is his win for the year. He'll win this. And the no holds barred thing kind of helps Lashley too, because, he hasn't lost to essentially and quote unquote old man, you know, in a normal match. He lost to him in a no holds barred thing. So it allows for obviously spears from the barricade and chair shots. It was Hurt Business want to get involved and stuff. So Lashley has an excuse basically for losing. So I will go with a Goldberg victory.
Yeah, I mean, you touching on the kind of big spots and stuff like that we can expect. I think that's a good point, really, because you got to remember it's a Goldberg match. It's probably going to be quite short, and therefore it'll probably be the way it needs to be. And kind of reminds me of the Sting and Triple H match there at WrestleMania, where you had DX and the NWO and all this stuff. I could see it being a quick high spot, power, and then basically you end up getting say Hurt Business coming out, Goldberg's son coming out. And basically, just cleaning up there. But like you say, maybe it is time to start going on that road of Goldberg, going towards his retirement match and being a big match. And like I say, it's been a big deal because he's won a few matches recently. I do think, I do think it's a good chance to not have him win a title and people complain. But it's one thing for him to keep losing title matches. It's another thing for him to lose a non-title match and look okay, why does Goldberg keep coming back, sort of thing. So it's a bit risky one in that sense. But so that's why I think Goldberg probably should win. Even though I love Lashley and I love the fact Hurt Business back together, annoying that they broke him up. But I do think Goldberg should win to kind of almost protect him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think. It's one of those. It is kind of tricky, I mean, I was kind of first I was umming and ahhing about who I thought was going to win, but then the more I thought about it, it's Lashley's going to be there, kind of most of the time. They're going to want him to look strong. He's basically destroying everybody at the moment since he lost the title. He's just looked like a totally different animal, to be fair. So, I think that's why I've gone Lashley, really.
Yeah, I got you.
So we're sticking with stipulations. Anyone would think that they could have done some of these the last pay-per-view, which is called...
It does feel really weird, doesn't it?
Extreme Rules! You've got a no-holds-barred match, and then we're going in to a bloody Hell in a Cell match. Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was ages ago, but got to say, it's really nice to actually see Hell in a Cell being used in the correct way, not just it's a certain time of the year we're going to just chuck on a Hell in a Cell match because.
But it's still in October though, and Hell in a Cell normally.
I feel like we complain about this at least 4 times a year, it seems and it's finally, and there's rumors obviously they've scrapped TLC as well now, as a pay per view. So hopefully we're getting back into just using it when the feud needs it. And looking at this, you bring up a no holds bar with 2 big stars, the women's title matches, 3 big stars. Mansoor and Mustafa Ali is a great match. Tag titles, yes, 2 teams thrown together, but it's still entertaining. And then we'll go on to other matches later on, and King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown and stuff like that. I mean, dare I say it, it feels a bit like a Mania card to me. Like, this is a stacked card, and we've touched on it a few times how Crown Jewel and these Saudi shows have changed. They were kind of just like glorified house shows, specials on the network, and they were fun as well. You know, strange matchups would happen. Didn't really affect storyline, as you mentioned, Lucas. But now, like, it's a proper pay-per-view, and not just that. Like, the elements of it being big but doesn't mean much are still there. Like, it still is big. Like, we're not getting Undertaker and we're not getting HBK having a weird out of retirement match, but we are getting Hell in a Cells, huge title matches like Brock and Roman, which we'll get to. But man, like, just looking at that card, it's just like, I might not have been watching much lately, but I got to say, I'm excited for this show.
Yeah, I think for a casual fan, if you have just literally looked at this card and been like, oh, damn, it's like, this is stacked. They have stacked it. But yeah, so I mean, if we'll get into predictions now. I mean, Rob's picked Edge to win this, so let's see who it is. Oh, and it is ironically Rob, number 4. So yeah, Rob's picked Edge. There we go. So it comes round to me. So, for me, this is quite tough actually, because obviously this is both of these men have actually been drafted over to Raw in the draft. So yeah, they could just literally replay this feud over and over and over again. But who do I think is going to win? Who do I think needs to win, maybe? I think Edge, is going to emerge victorious. I think Seth should win, but I think Edge will win, sort of thing. Yes, it's a tricky one, because I feel as though Seth would need that to get that momentum a little bit more, especially going to like a new brand. If they want to build him up as like a challenger for Big E, then, or whoever emerges from the next match with the WWE title. But yeah, I think if they want to build Seth up as like a big deal again, sort of thing, I think then they've definitely got to have him win this. But I can just see Edge, getting the revenge and everything like that on Rollins. So that's why my pick is Edge.
So, remind me, who's won the previous matches then?
1 each.
1 each.
Yeah, it's 1-1, and Seth's broken into Edge's house. Well, not broke. Well, walked into his house and slagged off his kids' drawings and all that stuff. And ate an apple.
I think I'm with you in that Seth should win, but I fear that Edge might. And for this whole revenge thing, the whole family stuff. I saw the promos on SmackDown. That's like one of the few things I did manage to see. But very good work from them both, and it does kind of sell this match very, very well. And it does seem fitting to have a Hell in a Cell, so I'm glad for that. But yeah, I'm with you in like Seth should win. So I'm going to try and kind of go with my heart of I hope he does, and I think it'd be a right decision to do. And you've got enough opportunity for happy endings at this show without needing to make Edge win as well. So maybe gives Edge a bit of time off or something like that. I don't know if he needs it. I'm just kind of speculating now. You think maybe a reduced schedule might have been something he kind of worked out anyway, being of this age and coming back at this part in his career. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went away for a bit, come back at the Rumble. Maybe not the same, because you don't want to try and repeat the amazing moment from a few years ago. But I think it's a good chance to put Seth back into that main event. So I think Seth should win, and because of that, I'm really, really hoping they go with that, and I'm going to predict that Seth does win as well.
So Seth Rollins locked in for you.
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard, this one. Just thinking back, Edge is even pretty much for the year so far. I think we're wins and losses. Like, obviously, he won the Rumble. He beat Orton on the Raw after the Rumble. He obviously had won one match in this feud against Seth. His losses have come in the triple threat match, obviously at Mania with Bryan and Roman. He lost to Roman at Money in the Bank, and he's obviously lost to Seth once already. So he's 3-3 potentially for the year. So this is his 7th match of the year, and it's just like, do I see him staying off until the Rumble? I don't think so, in a weird way. I think he'll be a part of Survivor Series. I think he might be even part of that Day One show, the Uso show. I'm going to call it the Uso show from now on.
The Uso show, yeah.
They ain't main eventing it. They're missing a trick.
I do think he'd be part of that. Like, if they wanted to make it seem a big deal, and him being drafted to Raw, you know, like I think, you know, the way, especially how the relationship seems to be with the USA Network now, they want the star power there. So I don't think it is a case of. I think he got drafted like really high up as well, didn't he? I think like really, you know, like in quite a good position, you know. So I do think it is. They can't really flirt with USA like that and be like, yeah, we're going to put Edge on, draft Edge to Raw, and then you're going to go off television for 2 months. Like, I think Edge will be on television on Raw in November at some point, you know. Obviously, this seemed to be the end of the feud. You'd hope. It's a case of who needs it more, and I think, I'd argue Seth needs it more, because I think in the same way that, like, obviously, the face Seth Rollins got that moment at WrestleMania against Triple H, meant all those moons ago, you know, and obviously became the Kingslayer from there, and, you know, really kind of, you know, then that led him to become the Beast Slayer. I think it was a year after, wasn't it? Didn't he beat Triple H at one Mania, and then he beat Brock Lesnar at another one?
Yeah.
I think it was,
Some of the comments were corrected to be wrong, hopefully. But, you know, I think the same way he did that as a face, Seth Rollins, which obviously then got him to the position where he was Universal Champion, he now needs it for the heel one, because, like, obviously, you know, in this character, like, you know, we're going pretty much from even just, like, last year, you know, he kind of lost to Rey Mysterio, he's lost to Cesaro, you know, he's lost to a lot of people, basically. And so he's always kind of come out on the receiving end of those feuds. So, yeah, I think a Seth Rollins win is the way to go, but the Saudi factor is tugging me to Edge a bit, and if Edge is going to be on television for a little bit more, you know, it's just not knowing that. So you guys have all said Rollins, yeah?
No, me and Rob said Edge.
Oh yeah, they said Edge. I said Rollins.
They said Edge. Okay, I'll stick with my at the moment last place buddy together. I will stick with Scott and say Seth Rollins to win then.
Ooh, so there's a bit of a divide. So the last 2 matches are both divided. Me and Rob saying the same, you two saying the same.
Getting interested, man.
It's going to be, because it could either just be like you two both just go, shoo.
Well, that's the tactic I'm thinking, because if I go with Rob, I'm thinking like, it's not favourable for me. But if I stick with Scott and we're right with these, like I said, we could leapfrog you.
That'd be great, mate. If me and you are top of the pile.
To be fair, apart from the tag title matches, have both gone exactly the same. So Lucas theoretically could go 1 point above. So let's see. Let's see if things do change when we get into the next match, which is for the WWE Championship. No stipulation attached to this one, but it is Big E defending the WWE Championship against the new SmackDown superstar, Drew McIntyre, friend of the channel, Drew McIntyre. So let's have a look at who is going first. It is going to be me. But before we get into my prediction, let's see what Rob said. And Rob has said Big E to retain the championship. And in all fairness, I have no reason to go anything other than a Big E retention here. The fact, obviously, of Drew moving to SmackDown, the fact that Big E's just won the title, you know, and I feel as though they've got really like high hopes for him. You know, I do think that it's Big E's time really, and you know, I just hope that WWE just let him like run with this title and have like a decent title reign with it. And you know, I think both men are going into it as like baby faces, so I don't really feel as though you're going to need to swap it from one baby face to another. It's different, I think, if you've got that face and heel dynamic, but the fact that you've got 2 faces, one's going over to SmackDown, one's staying on Raw, and you know, from everything Drew was saying, he seems like, you know, he's got his eyes on the Universal title, so makes me think more that it's going to be a Big E retention.
So this is a tough one because I haven't not seen much lately. I do feel like, what are they doing with Drew? Because they had that whole stipulation where he couldn't challenge Lashley. Is this the time to bring it back in and potentially swap over the titles, as we were talking about with the women's titles as well? But I do feel like you said, they've got a lot of stock in Big E. I think they see big things for him, and I hope that's the case. And I'm going to make a bit of a bold prediction here, not a bonus point or anything like that. But first of all, I think Big E's winning this, and that's because I think he's going on to somewhere around Royal Rumble, where I think Goldberg will beat him for the title. Now, I know that's going to be disappointing to some people, but as we've mentioned on this channel, a lot of times Goldberg's never been WWE champ, probably needs to do it before he retires, and I think that probably lead into a Mania thing with Goldberg and someone else. And I do think it's because Big E's gone on record before saying Goldberg's his favorite wrestler, and he did this hilarious interview, podcast with the rest of New Day, where he was saying he wanted to see, I think it was, the quote was like, big meaty men slapping meat or something like that. That's his dream match, is to face Goldberg. And I do feel, I was shocked it's not happening this Crown Jewel, but I think that's probably because it would be too soon. It feels like a perfect Crown Jewel match in my opinion, and Goldberg winning it. So I could kind of see that happening more at Royal Rumble instead, because I think if anyone's going to say, look, I want Bill Goldberg to beat me and take the title off me, it's going to be Big E. And I think by then you've built Big E as a star, and they can have like you've got here, a face-and-face dynamic, which is a bit strange. But I think with Goldberg and Big E, it could work quite well. A respect thing. We're both big meaty men, like as he put, and I think it would work well. And I think if anyone can come out online and go, guys, don't be upset, it's Big E, because again, people could tell the story of it being his favorite wrestler and stuff like that, and hopefully people might be a bit calmer on Goldberg winning a title, which again does feel inevitable before he retires. So for me, it sets up a perfect scenario. Maybe not the perfect scenario for those that don't want to see Goldberg win the title, but if it's something there, it's inevitable and they're going to do anyway, this is the best way you could do it. So for me, long-term booking there, I'm saying that's going to happen. So therefore, I think on this occasion, Big E's going to keep the title.
Yeah, I think even just thinking more short term, like that, Dante, he's just won the title. Drew's heading to SmackDown anyway. I don't think if there is going to be some sort of kind of belt swapping or confusion or whatever, it's going to happen with the women's belts. You know, with that scenario we mentioned obviously earlier. And I just think in a way, like, you know, like touching upon the, like you're saying, if, you know, if Biggie said that about Goldberg, I think similar, like Drew, and, you know, there's a whole host of people that kind of came out to support Big E when he won the championship. It's mad. Like people in every company, you know, not just within the WWE. Like people were genuinely so happy that he won the championship. Yeah. And I think, you know, Drew, obviously being, you know, Drew and like the guy that he is, as you know, that we've seen of him, like he's proud, he's happy, as everyone else is, because people know Big E's worked too far off, like to get to where he's got. Like, you know, to think, it's mad to think in a way that like people like Kofi and Xavier Woods and Big E most likely would have been released in about 2015, 2016, potentially, like if they didn't come up with the New Day and push that agenda forward and get that tag team, which obviously, you know, WWE, they've maybe gone a bit too far by calling them the best tag team ever. But, you know, that conversation is a real one that can happen, though, still. You know, we're looking at, obviously, just success they've had. You know, the most championship wins and been on both brands, been together for so long. And, obviously, now the individual members as well getting, obviously, title success. I think, you know, it's unheard of, really. Like, since DX, which was a stable, where you've had both members of a tag team, or, you know, two members of a tag team or a stable, whatever, win a world championship.
Or you even Evolution as well, which is strange to say, again, like comparing them to DX and Evolution of, title wins and singles kind of success as well. But you're right, man. Like,
well, yeah, the thing is, even Evolution stuff, a lot of that came after they all split up, didn't it? Like, Batista became a massive star after he left, and Triple H was already a champion before, wasn't he? And so was Flair, like way back in the day. But we're talking about guys who, you know, really, like I'm saying, I honestly think they would have been released, or at least a couple of them would have been released, or whatever. Like if that didn't happen. But anyway, it's my long way of just saying, I just think Drew just respects the hell out of Big E, and I think this is one of those where he's pushed forward an agenda of, look, let me just put him over, let me just work with him, let me just have that match, you know. And it is a case of two guys who respect the hell out of each other, and obviously Drew's 2020. You know, he was the face of the company, and now it's moved on, and he understands that. Like, I think, you know, he understands that potentially he will get that, he will long to get that belt back again, or get the Universal Championship, or whatever it might be. But at the moment, it's not that. But he respects the hell out of Big E, and if obviously Big E wants that match with Goldberg, I think again Drew will respect the hell out of that and understand. Look, okay, cool. You know, I'll put you over en route to facing Goldberg, like if that is what's going to happen. But ultimately, I don't see any kind of you know, like there's that part of me that, oh, maybe Drew could turn before going to SmackDown, but it wouldn't have any benefit because obviously Roman Reigns is obviously a villain champion over on SmackDown and will desperately need challenges.
Yeah, and that seems a perfect fit as well. That
he's
match,
literally beating people out of the company. Yeah, so yeah, it's my long way of saying Big E's winning and retaining.
Cool. So there are actually 2 other matches that are going to take place at this show, but obviously we don't know the lineups for them at time of recording. So that is obviously the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournament. So we're not going to be predicting those on this show, but we will be doing we'll be doing 3 shows actually. We'll be doing a build-up, a watch-along, and a recap and review of Crown Jewel. In the build-up show, we will be giving our predictions on who we think is going to be the King of the Ring. And I'm going to say the Queen of the Ring as well. So, you know.
Queen's Crown.
Why they have not just called it Queen of the Ring is just
I guess it's just the tie-in with the Crown Jewel. But it's still strange, isn't it? But, I mean, I'm just very happy they're doing the Queen of the Ring, even if they're not calling it that. And I'm really excited for Thursday because it's the first time we get to do a watch-along pay-per-view as well. Obviously, recently we did the watch-along of the Undertaker thing as well. If you haven't had a chance to do that, thank you all the people that watched us live and watched us on demand. It was really fun to do. If you ain't seen it yet, check out the film and watch it along with us as well. And then we've also got a review. But those are 2 big videos. I'm excited to have those 3 big videos on that day as well. The build-up shows are always fun, and to be able to do the recap and review after the show, as the show ends, because, you know, it's a somewhat reasonable time for us Brits, is really excited to not have to do it the next day. So, yeah, please come and join us for all 3 of those shows, and let us be your companion for the build-up, the watch-along, and the recap and review. It's going to be really fun, man. It's going to be a long one, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, also the thing is, it's good that we get to talk about the King of the Ring stuff close to the time. There's a lot to dissect in that, I think, obviously, because we've got obviously the tournament and obviously what happens with that tournament winner, and obviously they get the King gimmick or the Queen gimmick, which obviously will be a first. Obviously, with someone other than obviously Charlotte Flair kind of done the kind of
just saying it
in a way, but not officially. So there's a lot to discuss really with the King of the Ring, and I look forward to discussing that with you guys obviously on Thursday. As I think that will take up most of the build-up show, to be fair.
Yeah.
And interestingly, on SmackDown, they're actually still on the Titantron. They've still got King Nakamura on Shinsuke's Titantron, and they had it on. They filmed the tribute to the troops as well, and they still had it on there, and that's going to be aired on like the 14th of November.
So basically, have 2 kings.
Yeah, pretty much.
Strange times, but yeah.
Yeah, the king that never actually won the King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah, and then Jerry Lawler will show up just to make it even more confusing.
And King Booker. So should we get on to talking about the main event? The main event of this show is going to be, we think, for the Universal Championship.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's going to be Roman Reigns taking on Brock Lesnar. It's probably not going to be a Paul Heyman on a pole match. But,
dangling by his underwear, that'd be great.
Yeah, Paul Heyman in a shark cage or something. But yeah, this match is this is a weird one because obviously it's so conflicting because nobody knows what is actually going on with Paul Heyman. I mean, I'm not sure how much of SmackDown you guys saw with the contract signing, but
I saw Brock's little bombshell, I was like, oh, that was well done.
So Lucas, did you see what happened with it?
No.
So basically, Roman Reigns gave the contract to Paul Heyman to read over. Paul gave it back to him. Roman signed the contract. He's like, it's everything that you've asked for. He signed it, gave it to Brock. Brock didn't even bother reading it, just signed the contract. And he's like, oh, like, you're not even going to read it. He's like, no, my advocate Paul Heyman already read it over with me this morning.
And like Paul's face drops. Roman kind of, it was very well done. And then, Brock kind of smirks and walks off, or probably more so cackles and walks off. But yeah, man, I'm enjoying like the bits I've seen of this. And again, it's a new dynamic to this feud, and that's what I'm most excited about. And we've been seeing babyface Brock, and I think it's been going quite well.
It's nice to see Brock get the chance to actually express himself as well. It seems like he's more himself rather than the character. Exactly, know? And it's like, you know what? Just wear what you want. Have your hair and your beard how you want. It's not like, oh, you've got to have it this way because we've got action figures of you with short hair. And
there's anyone you can't tell.
I'm going to tell him anything on that.
Yeah.
True, yeah. Yeah.
You have a pink mullet. You walk on a pink mullet backstage. No one's gonna say anything to him. You gonna say to Lesnar?
Vince just walk up behind him with a pair of hair clippers.
Yeah, can't say that.
So, right. So Rob's gone for Roman Reigns to retain here. So let's see. Are we going to agree with him? Well, it's Rob's number 4. So looks like then. So obviously Rob picking Roman Reigns. So then it will come round to myself. Yeah, this is tough now because. Oh, sorry. You can see it from both point of views. You can see both of them winning the Universal title. But I think if I'm thinking logistically, I think I'm going to have to go with Roman Reigns to win purely because I feel as though this current iteration of Roman, they are pushing to the absolute moon. And he's the best thing about WWE at the moment. And he's obviously looking at Brock Lesnar's record of 500 and I think that 509 days, I think it is, as WWE champion, or 500. It's 500 and some. 504 days. That's it, because Roman currently has it for 409 days. So around the time of January, I think 17th or something, I worked it out that Roman will then surpass that. So I think they are going to keep the title on Roman Reigns. I think he's going to surpass that. He's going to be seen as like the greatest Universal Champion in history. Obviously, he's already had double the amount of title defenses that Brock Lesnar had at this stage in his title reign, which is not really that surprising considering Brock was a part-time champion. But yeah, I don't feel as though it's the right time for Roman to lose the title, but you could easily see it happening through some kind of Paul Heyman shenanigans. But I don't feel as though that is going to be the case. I think, yeah, my long convoluted way of saying Roman Reigns retains the title.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. Again, I don't see why they'd take it off of Reigns. It's exciting and intriguing that it's Brock could do it, and the storyline I think it's done with Heyman has been perfect. So for what I have seen of it, I think it's the best way to go about it. So whether or not that does come to fruition in some way, turns out he was kind of like, yeah, but that maybe would turn Roman face, and I don't think we need that. So I don't think this is where they kind of split or anything like that. I think it is just going to be kind of settled on. It was mind games after all. Brock knew what he was doing, and maybe Heyman shows his allegiance by basically helping Roman win. So I think Roman's going to win, and like you, Dan, I think he's probably going to break that record, and we'll go from there to WrestleMania, I'm sure. But yeah, I wouldn't be. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if anyone could do it at any show. This feels like could be Brock Lesnar, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. Even though there are nice little seeds sown of like a Heyman heel turn and Roman could potentially go babyface. I do think it's rushed. We spoke about this a while ago, and there's a clip on the Rebellious Noise channel if you haven't seen it yet of when Roman should turn face, how he should turn face, and stuff like that. So give that a go if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, sticking with some of the common themes from there, I just think it's not the right time. And maybe eventually he turns on Heyman, and this feels like a way to do it. But for me, like you say, like Dan, like they're proper going on this whole Roman Reigns train, and I think we're all aboard. And that kind of phrase that you used, I know it's not been around for long, the Universal title, but you saying longest reigning, I think a few years ago, a few of us were going, oh, of course he is. And now I'm like, yeah, damn right he is, because it's been, literally, like you say, best thing about WWE, and we can't deny that. And I hope it continues. So yeah, I'm going Roman Reigns as well.
Yeah, and I think as well, just quickly, just touching on it as well, obviously Paul Heyman, he was apparently the big one behind Brock Lesnar becoming a free agent, so to speak, as well. So, he kind of, it's like he's pulling the strings for Brock still, but then he's also pulling the strings for Roman and the Usos by making sure that the Usos got drafted to SmackDown. So it's kind of like, I don't know whether they would actually go with a dynamic where, we can make it work where all of us are like aligned sort of thing. So like Brock down the line maybe helps Roman to retain the title with like these promises of like, look, I'll help you get to WrestleMania as champion, but you've got to face me.
He's always been a lone guy though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's always been Brock's always, you know, he'd always been with Heyman. Well, for short, but apart from a short period, he wasn't. But he'd always been an individual. Like he's never, you know, Brock obviously along with Hogan. Until Hogan actually won those tag belts of Edge, like he held that record of Brock's the only person basically who's only won like world championships. He's never gone after like a mid-card title, never gone obviously for a developmental title or anything like that. Like he's literally only been WWE Universal Champion. That is it.
Nice,
you know, Hogan obviously had the same record where he was WWE Champion, WCW Champion, then obviously came back to WWE and won the tag belts of Edge. But yeah, same principle. Like they just, you know, Hogan obviously been off at the end of the 90s, but so Brock Lesnar's been that enigma, like, you know, of a athlete where he's just been that guy, like he's just by himself, like he's just separate from kind of everything else. So again, it makes sense him being the free agent in this scenario, I think. Yeah, this is really difficult though, like really difficult, and is an almost example of them booking themselves into a corner in some ways, because obviously, you know, if Brock is going to come back to lose, you know, where does he then go from? Although there could be a reason, cough Heyman, I guess, why. So not the best, probably saying cough in this scenario in the world we've got in the moment, but you know, it could be because
go NXT, mate.
You know, but does that kind of cheapen Brock? You know, because I mean, going back to obviously the Goldberg thing with Lashley. Like I think obviously seeing Goldberg kind of getting taken at SummerSlam, seeing him getting taken out by a cane shot and then his leg hurting and having to give up, like that wasn't very Goldberg. And you know, seeing Lesnar kind of have this overly kind of sports entertainment finish, that's not usually the case of Lesnar matches. You know, it's uncharted territory. You know, like if this was Roman against like a Seth Rollins or like, you know, something like that, like fair enough, that's when, you know, you can have all this stuff. But Brock's never really got into any of this. You know, it's always just been a case of like he will beat you or you beat him. But then saying that, my pick for the match though is that I think it will have to be a no contest. I think there's a lot of factors as to why I think that. Like I think obviously with The Rock looking unlikely to be a part of the product, you know, this year anyway, and them looking to that bigger match happening, you know, maybe not until Mania in 2023, which sounds like a made-up year, but it's only 2 years away.
Yeah.
You know, with that kind of off the table for now, you know, like Brock is the biggest star that Roman can face and feud with. But I think if Roman beats him straight away out the gate, that kind of ends that. Obviously, yes, I don't think Brock should beat Roman at this junction, though there is scope there. Well, obviously, Heyman previously turned on Brock, famously in 2002. And started with the Big Show one, people, and became the only person to manage 3 successive WWE champions in history, as obviously the switch was made to Kurt Angle the month afterwards. Very good era that actually of TV there, and feuds for Brock Lesnar, because he went from pretty much, you know, Undertaker through to, you know, Big Show through to Kurt Angle, all in the same kind of 6-month period. Again, just shows you how stacked the talent was back then, isn't it? But yeah, like it's very odd. This, I mean, I do imagine this to be. I think this will be like I'm hoping this will be a very different kind of Brock match. I guess it'll still be the physical side as we're used to, but I think, you know, this kind of like this mind game thing that's come out with Brock is quite an interesting take, because he's never done. Again, it's stuff he's never done, because again, like he's had a guy like Heyman doing his promos, hasn't he, for like the last 20 years. You know, and he's let Heyman do his stick, and it worked. So it's just different now. But yeah, I think, you know, again, it's be annoying if it is on to a way. It will annoy some fans if it's on last and it does have the no contest or the DQ or whatever. But I think no contest sounds and looks better, and can set them up for potentially a cage match or a bigger stipulation match in the future, which I guess we'll get to if that was to happen. But yeah, my pick is no contest.
So that's a bonus point, you know, if you do draws and no contests.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is it the other thing I want to mention as well is the whole Rock 25th anniversary at Survivor Series. I mean, I feel like they've got something, but
Rock.
Maybe, yeah, like 25th anniversary of his debut, isn't it? So I feel like maybe even if he's not there, they'll do something, kind of like maybe that annoying Undertaker thing they did for his retirement. Mate, I just feel like something's going to involve The Rock where maybe it will hint the future, you know, where Roman will kind of smarky be like, oh, yeah, like, cool, mate. No, not smarky, snarky even. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you were great, but, you know, it's the past. Like, somewhat show respect to his cousin, but not that we can kind of sense. So even if it's just a throwaway kind of comment, I feel The Rock's going to be involved as far as is in some ways. It'd be silly if he wasn't, but yeah. But yeah, I'd be interested when that eventually does happen, Rock and Roman.
It'd be like the I bring it via satellite thing again.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, apparently he's not even in the country, is he? He's filming elsewhere.
No, apparently he's in Australia around the time of that, so that's why. And then if what they're saying is to be believed, it's looking like they're going to probably run Roman and Brock back at Mania, and then Mania 38. I think 38, 39, the one that's going to be in LA.
Remember, they've stopped numbering now, anyway.
Will be The Rock, yeah. So, WrestleMania goes Hollywood. There we go. Mark II. So, yeah, so I think that's all of the matches that we're done. So, yeah, there's going to be, looks like there may well be some shifting in the table, as we say. Currently going into Crown Jewel, it is me on 24, Rob on 23, Scott and Lucas both on 22. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who emerges on top of the leaderboard after Crown Jewel. So yeah, don't forget, as we have already mentioned, on Thursday there is going to be a build-up, a watch-along and a recap and review show. So yeah, going to be a busy day for the Rebellious Noise team. But yeah, do stick with us as much as you can throughout the day. And hopefully we are going to give you some great content. So hopefully Crown Jewel is going to be good as well.
I feel like it has to be. I mean, look at the card.
Yeah, and I think it is definitely one of these things where they've looked at it and they've been like, you know, we're not going to have a pay-per-view in October. This is going to be our October pay-per-view.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're going to have these shows as a big deal, you've got to book it as such, and got
give them breathing space.
Yeah, exactly, and not like rely on sort of the older guys too much, which is good. So yeah, so I think with that being said, then I think it's a good enough time for us all to get out of here. You know, thanks to Scott and Lucas for joining me. Thanks to Rob for sending his predictions in. Yeah, for now, guys, that is everything. We will see you on Thursday when we do the Crown Jewel triple header. There we go. That's the best way to do it. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Take care. See you soon.
See ya.
For now.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.